think we're an extremely effective, broad, representative group. I mean, within Parliament we have MPs and peers of all parties. We have great representation from the city and also from companies. So we're a bridge, if you like, between the legislators, the doers and the money. And as such, we're very representative. And if you come to one of our breakfasts or dinners, then you very quickly hear how impactful we are and how representative we are of high-level people within the various sectors. And pretty much all sectors of our economy are represented as well.
I think people sometimes see corporate governance as quite boring. It's quite boring words, isn't it? Corporate governance. People look at that and think, what does that mean? That's surely not something that's important to daily lives, but it actually is incredibly important. And I think all of us who are on the all-party parliamentary group have got a role in encouraging our colleagues, as well as encouraging everybody out there to be interested in corporate governance and to make sure that companies are held accountable, to make sure that they are transparent, to make sure that they're explaining to people actually what it is that they're about and why.
We still have a very non-diverse UK PLC board membership, and I saw that up close. You've got the same group of men mostly going around sitting on UK PLC boards, and that's not just important for diversity from an equality or feminist perspective. It's important for good governance. It's important that you have a range of ideas, and I think that's what this Parliament really has to look at improving the diversity of boards of UK PLC.
What fascinates me about corporate governance? Well, I guess it's at the root of every business. We have millions of businesses. It's not just about the few large ones that you hear of and the few that are, relatively few, that are listed. It is the basis of where most people spend most of their lives in work. It's what generates the income for government through corporate taxation. It's what controls the environment that we live in. It is fundamental to the way we live our lives.
Well, it's incredibly important that we get the right corporate governance for the UK to work properly. I came into Parliament having spent 25 years outside it in a professional career, and I know that you need to have the right governance in place to make the right decisions. We all want UK PLC to do well and to prosper. We need to ensure we have the right corporate governance to ensure that that happens.
There's always the danger of a knee-jerk reaction to any problem. I mean, the banking crisis being one in point. And unless you get people saying, hold on, if you do that, do you realise it will also have the effect of doing this? People can, in all good faith, legislate for something and then find themselves with a problem they hadn't realised would crop up.
A group such as the All-Party Parliamentary Corporate Governance Group provides an opportunity for real-life experiences to be able to be made accessible to the lawmakers, the people that guide legislation, so that actually when they're thinking about how best to frame legislation, it is framed in such a way that allows an element of pragmatism to also work.
And when it comes to something like corporate governance, it's really important to know about how corporations are governed, and so you do need to have that contact. And our group provides that mechanism, a very effective one for that to happen.
In the interests of entrepreneurialism, one said, well, okay, we'll have companies, which means you can step away from your liabilities. But that's a bargain with society, that in return for having entrepreneurial spirit and releasing the good that does from the environment, we let you allow you to be limited liability, but in return you have to have good corporate governance, and people are forgetting the other side of the bargain with society.
There's no shadow of a doubt that, having seen the financial crisis in 2008, we needed to have a very close look at understanding what corporate governance actually is. We talked about it a great deal at the time, but do we really know what corporate governance is? And one of the characteristics of the financial crisis was that balance, that tension between the interests of shareholders, between the interests of customers, and between the interests of staff became very unbalanced. And if you have better corporate governance, you keep that tension in harmony and you get better businesses.
I think the group is very good at being proactive. We're very good at thinking about things and doing the research that we need to do to make sure that parliamentarians are ahead of the game, that we're able to make those good decisions. And do you know what, in the future I hope that more and more people come along to the events that we hold, so that more and more people can learn about the importance of corporate governance and the changes that need to be made in order to operate effectively in the fourth industrial revolution.